Good morning, Ms. Smith. I'm Jeff Burton, and I'm very excited to be working with you in an effort to evaluate the root cause of the division's EVS decline over the last couple of years, and to collaboratively explore some opportunities. As a workforce development analyst, my role, as I will discuss a little more detail later, is to provide a unique combination of experience and perspectives that will serve as another tool in your toolbox when approaching future changes and adjustments you may wish to make to your division. A little more about me. I'm a credentialed certified professional in learning and performance by the Association of Talent Development, and have served as the VP of training for that organization from 2013 to 2014. I've all but completed my PhD in public policy and hold a master's in business administration. I've developed national trainings in conjunction with Purdue University, Kansas State University, and served as the Adult Education Professional Integration Committee for Southwestern University. Additionally, I have led many organizational analysis efforts in conjunction with partners such as NASA, the VA, HUD, and multiple private companies. These efforts have spanned multiple work unit categories, including procurement, facilities management, third-party service facilitation, transportation, and global enterprise fulfillment. I look forward to working with you to gather and assess the relevant information available, develop some innovative strategies, and most importantly, I look forward to seeing the progress you will create with your team. Next, I'd like to discuss what is organizational development and how does an organizational framework work for developing changes and guiding changes in your organization. The Organizational Development Framework is a guide for systematically taking a desired organizational state, assessing an organizational strengths and weaknesses, developing and distilling potential solutions, also called interventions, implementing those solutions, and lastly, evaluating the impact of those solutions on creating the desired organizational state, such as higher customer service as reflected in the EVS score. Now keep in mind, as I will discuss, the EVS score itself is not an intended organizational state, rather is just one measurement that reflects the surveyee's perception of that state. Whether that perception can be validated or not, it is still an important and relevant tool, especially when it represents a respective sampling of the work unit. Now, the OD framework consists of three primary parts: structure, people, and process. The key to using this framework is to break down these parts utilizing qualitative and quantitative methods, compare it to the strategic orientation of the organization, identify gaps, measure and prioritize the impact of those gaps, and assist in laying out the strategic roadmap for addressing those gaps. These techniques are what myself and the Office of Resource Management bring to the table. Very quickly, I want to distinguish between best practices and best methods. My expertise is in best methods, identifying and aligning tools that enhance the selection and execution of interventions or solutions, communicating those solutions and evaluating those solutions. This is distinct from best practices, which more focuses on delivering those solutions, managing those solutions, and transferring those proven solutions to other work units. This is where you and I will be most effective in working together. As I am not a leader in your division, ultimately it will be your experience in execution and management that will provide the fundamental feedback to any solution set identified. There are several considerations that we can jointly look at when working toward the development of your OD framework. The list you see now is important for understanding that it does not always take much change to make significant improvements. Though as we develop and assess potential solutions to the EVS question and the underlying challenges that create it, it is important that we temper those implemented efforts to maximize outcome, mitigate organizational stress, and build credibility base for the change with leadership and the team itself. This is what makes organizational development so exciting. The facets to consider are wide-ranging, but trust me, this is something that is very doable, and I look forward to assisting you in the effort. The way I like to approach a relationship such as ours is simple. You are first. Always. What this means is that all decision making is yours. I'm here only to advise and provide additional perspectives to your efforts. What we discuss stays between us, and I'm as visible or invisible as you wish me to be in this process. When it comes to this process, I wanted to be overt to you and the stakeholders we engage with that I am part of your team. And at no time am I there to oversee or direct activities to which you have purview over. It is the capacity of advisor only that avoids confusion with stakeholders or enhance tensions between us. You are in charge. I say this to acknowledge your critical role and responsibility set and to make it clear it is my place to defer to your decisions as it pertains to your division. As I mentioned earlier, I would like to discuss the EVS more specifically. To reiterate, the EVS is only a measurement tool and is not something that you should design your organization around. Rather, we should use this as a tool to help identify and distill areas of emphasis that we should look at when looking to improve divisional operations and employee engagement. The list provided are some things to consider when using the EVS score as a tool. And as we move forward, we can discuss how each of these considerations will impact our analysis and your final selection of the solution set to be implemented. Depending on the size of your organization, the amount of change possible within a specific time frame will vary. This is also impacted by the level of embeddedness the current culture has. But improvement is always possible, and I'm confident that we will see movement in this measurement. I am confident because my most recent experience at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development demonstrates this possibility. Ranked one of the worst places to work in the federal government for mid-sized agency, HUD has continually struggled in the EVS, and specifically in the area of the Leaders Lead sub-index. However, from 2014 to 2015, HUD saw a dramatic improvement in its EVS scores due to a number of organizational efforts to identify causes and to address those causes systematically. Specifically, the Program Support Division that I personally led saw even more dramatic improvement than was represented in the agency-wide score. My division saw in some cases a 58% improvement in its aggregate score set, as we saw a significant number of negatives become neutrals and positive responses, as well as many neutrals becoming positive responses. Demonstrated by the actual EVS scores for my regional component, you see that the Ops PSD DIR scores, which represents my division, are significantly higher as compared to other regional scores. This was not the case in 2014. The change represents 1 year of intense effort towards reorganizing and re-empowering the work team, keeping in mind that the work that was actually being completed remained fundamentally unchanged. HUD identified 8 questions, the Big 8, which appeared to be statistical canaries in the coal mine for the other EVS scores. In the Big 8, my division improved by 340% on the aggregate. The significant moving of the needle was due to the strategic effort to do business differently from the way it had been done before, to engage team members in an innovative and substantive way, and to communicate divisional and personal successes. The power of this change is resonating across HUD today, and HUD is very much looking forward to the 2016 results, rather than dreading them as it had done in the past. What is even more important for me is that the best methods are being applied now, not just practices. The challenge to fixing EVS scores is that they are not a tangible thing. Rather, the relationships managers have with their teams, the meaningfulness of the work, and the connection the teams have with that work are what matter and ultimately what moves that needle. We did several things in the PSD division to move the EVS needle. All of them were structure, people, and process-based. Yes, there was a little strategic communication and marketing smattered in, but the real improvement came from real changes, like modifying the way we engage with external stakeholders, changing the way we did our work while at the same time improving the results of that work, and also moving to a data and metric-based evaluative system that truly reflected the key values of our organization, removing anecdotal and meaningless measurements, replacing them with things that prove success not only to others, but to ourselves. A huge part of the PSD 2014-2015 strategic plan was real team reformation, integration, and engagement, intentionally tying activity with value, both personal and organizational. Lastly, intensely focusing on leadership's responsibility to provide opportunities to the team both in the long and short term. I'm extremely proud to say that these results took a broken division and transformed it into one that was awarded the Secretary's Award for Field Office Excellence. Ms. Smith, I very much look forward to working with you, and I hope to see you soon.